Hi, I'm Violet, and this is Now and Then Stories. Each week I share the stories I write, tales of love, chance, and the quiet turns of life that sometimes change everything. This week's story is called Crossroads Café. They told us the new guidance implants would remove indecision forever. Never doubt again, the ads promised, glowing across every skyline. Your path is a calculation away. For a long time, that was true. My little chip, humming behind my right ear, synced to every choice I made, handled everything. Breakfast orders, route selection, relationships. The last time I'd said, "I don't know," out loud, I was 24 and the world still had birds. Then last Tuesday, the system crashed. At first, I thought it was just lag, a blinking error, a soft buzz like a bee caught in glass. But by nightfall, the voice that had whispered probabilities and reassurance for 12 years went silent. For the first time in my adult life, I was alone with my own thoughts. I tried to reset it, I tried to wait it out, but there's nothing more terrifying than silence when you've forgotten how to listen to yourself. So I walked. The highway was almost empty. Most people don't walk anymore. They glide or float or stay home. The air smelled of static, the distant hum of hover transport slicing through the dusk. The horizon was a blur of soft metal light, and the wind carried the faint hiss of rain that never quite fell. I don't know how long I wandered before I saw the sign, half flickering, half forgotten. Crossroads Cafe, open 24 hours. It looked like a relic. The neon buzzed in and out, and for a moment I thought it was some glitch left over from the old grid. But I smelled coffee, real coffee. That alone felt like a miracle. Inside, everything looked wrong in a comforting way. Vinyl booths, chrome edges dulled with time, a ceiling fan that turned too slowly like it was thinking about something else. There was a jukebox in the corner humming faintly, though no music played. A woman stood behind the counter, polishing a mug that didn't need it. She looked up when I entered, eyes steady and amused. "You look lost," she said. "I am," I answered before I could pretend otherwise. She nodded toward the nearest booth. "Then you're exactly where you're supposed to be." I sat. She poured me a cup of coffee that steamed in quiet spirals. When I tried to pay, she waved me off. "No credits here," she said, "only choices." I laughed nervously. "Then I might owe you a fortune." Her mouth curved, not quite a smile. We get a lot of that. There was one other person in the cafe, a man at the far booth by the window. He was sketching on a napkin with a pencil stub, his coat hanging loose over narrow shoulders. Every so often, he'd look up as if remembering where he was, then go back to drawing. The jukebox clicked suddenly. A soft tune began to play, something old and sweet, full of longing. It sounded like rain on film. "Strange," the woman murmured. "Hasn't worked in years." I wrapped my hands around the mug and tried to feel anchored. Without the implant, my head was a carnival of noise, questions running wild, decisions spinning off their hinges. Should I go back to the city? Should I wait for the system to reboot? Should I even want it to? "Do you ever feel like the world expects you to always know what you're doing?" I asked. The woman shrugged. "Only when it forgets it's human." The man looked up from his sketchbook. "You think knowing is the same as living?" he asked quietly. I hesitated. "Isn't it?" He turned the napkin toward me. A rough drawing, a road splitting into two, then three, then dissolving into a mess of lines that curled into something almost like a wave. "This is what choice looks like," he said. "Messy, unfinished, alive." I stared at it. "That looks terrifying." "It is," he said, "until you start walking." The clock above the counter ticked backwards for a second, then corrected itself. The air shimmered faintly like heat over asphalt. The lights dimmed, then brightened. "Does this place glitch often?" I asked. The woman chuckled. "Depends on what kind of day you've had." Outside, I could see the road splitting into three directions, each one fading a different color of horizon, one amber, one indigo, one a strange soft silver. I blinked and they were gone. My mug was half empty now, or half full. I couldn't decide which mattered more. A bell jingled over the door. A man in a suit stepped in, muttering to himself. "It was supposed to be left," he said, "or was it right?" He looked at me like I might know. "How do you pick?" I don't have an answer, but before I could confess that, the woman behind the counter spoke. You don't pick, she said, you begin. The road sorts itself out once you move. The man frowned, clearly unsatisfied, and turned to leave. But before he did, he glanced at me and nodded, as if I had said something wise instead of nothing at all. The jukebox changed songs on its own. The air buzzed softly again, the faint static of old speakers trying to remember sound. The woman poured me one last cup. On the house, she said. You won't be back. I didn't ask how she knew. Maybe she'd seen enough lost souls come and go to recognize the look in their eyes, the one right before a person decides to try again. I stepped outside, coffee still warm in my hands. The night air hummed differently now, less electric, more alive. The neon flickered behind me, reflecting against the glass like a heartbeat. There was no one else on the road, only the sound of distant wind turbines and low hum of something vast turning beneath the earth. I stood at the intersection where 3 roads met. The signs had no names, only colors that pulse faintly in rhythm with my pulse, amber, indigo, silver. For a long time, I waited for the voice in my head to tell me what to do. It didn't. Instead, the jukebox inside the cafe started another song, soft, far away, just loud enough to carry through the open door. It sounded like possibility. So I took a step. The road beneath my feet hummed in response, a faint vibration that traveled up my legs and into my chest, syncing with my heart. The lights on the horizon blurred into one long thread of gold, like the edge of a sunrise still deciding whether to appear. I didn't look back. I just kept walking, coffee cooling in my hand, the world unfolding ahead of me in quiet, uncertain grace. The end. Thank you for listening to Now and Then Stories with Violet. If this story spoke to you, I hope you'll stay a while. There are always more moments waiting to be found between now and then.